Hello, I'm Sarina Fazan.
And I'm JP Peterson. We're the host of The Lighter Side of Sports, brought to you by RHS TV.
We are committed to helping those impacted by Ian. The hurricane caused unprecedented damage after it made landfall just short of a Category 5 storm.
So many lives have been lost, so many thousands still without homes. A massive recovery mission is underway, and we are teaming up with the Red Cross to help.
So please join us in this rebuilding effort. It's as simple as scanning the QR code or simply following the link below.
Stay safe and stay vigilant.
Everyone has a story to tell. It's my mission to tell it. Unscripted, unedited. We are on the record.
Hi everyone, I'm Sarina Fazan, and thank you so much for joining us for this episode of On the Record, a show where we are honored to highlight positive change throughout the nation. We talk about some pretty tough topics though, and healthcare is one of them. What if you are charged with taking care of an adult? Are you overwhelmed? I mean, is it difficult? Well, today on the record, we're meeting two amazing people who are making that possible. Traci Lamb and Kevin MacRitchie, thank you so much for being here. Your company's Smart Caregiving, Tactical Rehabilitation Incorporated. Again, thank you for joining us on the record.
Thank you so much for having us.
So Traci, let's start with you. I just gave a very brief, introduction. Tell us about your business and your company.
Sure. We were created after I had worked at hospice and I saw a gap in the healthcare industry. I realized that the people that take care of loved ones at home, whether it's moms, dads, special needs children, they didn't have, for lack of a better word, a one-stop shop to be able to get their questions answered and be able to find resources. So I created the company to basically bridge that gap. So we connect the two. We basically allow people to call in. They have questions about, this is what's going on with my mom, this is what's going on with my dad. Is there any company out there that offers services that could help me with that? And then we connect them to companies like Tactical Rehab that can offer them different resources and services that can help them. So we basically marry the two.
That's wonderful. So Kevin, speaking of that, tell us a little bit about your company. And I know you're just one company that helps, but tell us a little bit about your company.
So Tactical Rehabilitation, founded in 2013 by our now chairman of the board, David Marr, as he pervaded the industry, and he was in the durable medical equipment industry for quite some time with some other companies that he had, took a look at the military and said, as is unfortunately typical for them, why are they getting substandard health care?
Oh,
and how do we improve that? You know, the people that put their lives on the line for our freedoms. So he sold his other businesses, founded Tactical Rehab, and launched our focus on the best products, best services, best support, and most certified people to service our servicemen and women. And we've grown that business significantly. We have the ability to serve every base around the country. We're rapidly expanding internationally. Traci and I met 2 years ago at a conference and said, you know, with our population being active duty military, their families and veterans, so retirees, and David and I have a fun running joke. I'm always focused on service ready, and he says service ready extends to those that are retired so that they can take their family and their grandkids to Disney World and lift them up and have fun and stand in line. So we started talking about how do we do that and how do we reach people that would be in those situations at home. So we continue to work on our partnership, grow it, and try to serve everybody that we can.
You know, guys, so this, of course, is a very important issue, but sometimes, people hear healthcare, they hear disability, and they get a bit overwhelmed, and then they're like, oh, gosh, I don't know if I want to listen to that. But on this show, we like to share your story and the personal side. So, Traci, talk about that, because that really breaks it down. Like, you have two adult parents, right, that you take care of, and that's what inspired you to start your company?
Actually, it started a little bit before then. I started the company in 2019. I had worked for hospice for about 15 years, and working at hospice, I came up with the idea of the company. So I actually started it back in 19. I'm middle child, older sister, younger brother. My older sister passed away 15 years ago in a car accident.
Oh my gosh, in a car accident.
Yes.
I am
And then my brother passed away 4 years ago from alcoholism.
Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. So now you are left as an only child.
So I was the only child. And so then I was very blessed in the fact that my parents were doing fairly well up until I moved in with them when COVID hit. And they were doing fairly well until last year. And then last September, they both got very sick. And they both started rapidly declining. And so I basically put my company on hold for about 10 months. and just went into full caregiver mode. And up until then, I tell people, you know, I could talk the talk of caregiving, but I had never really had to walk the walk. I have now. I have definitely gone through all of it. And my dad was in and out of hospitals. He was in and out of rehabs. And unfortunately, he passed away in February of this year.
I'm so
And so
sorry.
I still take care of my mom, and I still take care of her. But I understand you on an even deeper level now, how much of a burden it is at times to care for a person. You love them and you want to take care of them, but it can be really, really difficult, and you do get completely overwhelmed. I was very blessed because I knew about resources like Kevin and other companies that could help me and could help me get through all of that, because I was kind of alone with all of that. But the reality is that people that don't know about companies that can help them, and that's the really hard part for me to understand, because my passion is helping people, is that when they don't know about companies, they just get completely overwhelmed. They're like, I don't know who to call, I don't know what to do, I need help, and they don't realize that there's a lot of resources out there that can help them.
I have so many questions to ask on what you just said, and I do want to point out, though, that isn't that something that you saw? I mean, to put anybody in hospice care, and you worked in hospice, but I do want to point out it was there
Yes.
that you recognized
Yes.
there was such a need.
Yes.
And then, so before we expand into the questions, Kevin, as you hear this, your background personally is quite amazing.
Thank you. You know, so I have a background with Cisco Systems for a long period of time, where I ran their government solutions group as well as their education and healthcare for a period of time. So when I joined Tactical about, I don't know, 6 or 9 months after I was there, Traci and I met. And, you know, as you sit here and listen to Traci, he's very inspirational, comes from the heart, building a function that is sorely needed out there for people who try to do that at home. And it's tough. It's tough. You know, when we talk to our veterans and they're utilizing family members as long or as possible, they don't know how to find these kinds of services either. So, you know, when you sit there and listen to that story, when we sat in the back of the conference and we were all, the three of us were sort of comparing notes, and then I went to your booth, you know, it's an inspiration to have the opportunity to work with Traci and her team and be able to service those that, you know, as we always say, the people we serve are heroes, and they continue
all of
to.
them are heroes.
But you're a hero yourself. Like,
Yes.
let's delve in a little bit on the personal
Yes.
side. I know you've shared and it's wonderful what you're saying, but please, you know, humility aside, share a little bit about you.
So relative to that, I am an active duty law enforcement officer as well.
Thank you so much for your service.
Thank you.
Yes.
I do work for Sheriff's Department in Michigan. I serve on the Mounted Division there, and we focus on active law enforcement and search and rescue and those kinds of things as well. So I appreciate that we get the opportunity to do that. I appreciate that I get to do that still in this role. David Marr, founder, is retired law enforcement, so you know, we have a lot of that patriotism for our men and women in uniform, and that's where we come from. How do we take care of them in active duty? How do we take care of them after? And some of them will transition out of the military service and insurance system and are going to need those other providers that they would not otherwise get. So this is, you know, it's a great opportunity for us to help Traci and for her to help us reach out to part of the population that sometimes is very difficult for us to reach.
Absolutely. We do have to give a shout out to the leader of your company, though, to allow that. You know, that's amazing to allow to be able to do both. So to delve deeper, what are some of the biggest questions that you get, and how do you start? Because it's a friend of mine, Judge Michelle Cisco, who was actually on the record on a couple of shows. She shared that, where do I begin? And she's a judge. Like, you know,
That's exactly right.
So where do you begin?
Well, you know, the thing is that most caregivers that call us, they call, and I just always, I taught my people to start a conversation this way. You tell me what's going on with mom or dad. And so most of the common questions, one of the most common questions is, you know, I'm taking care of mom or dad. I don't know, I don't have the money to pay a caregiver $20 an hour, you know, but I would like to be able to go to the grocery store for a couple hours, and I can't leave mom and dad, you know, what do I do? And I tell them, like, there's a company out there called elderhelpers.org. It's a completely free service. They're vetted, background screened volunteers.
Elderhelpers.org.
Yes, and they are nationwide, and you just plug in your zip code, and it will bring up a list of vetted volunteers that will come and that will stay with your patient for you to go to the grocery store, you to go to get your hair done, whatever you need. They're not going to stay 40 hours a week with you, but I mean, it helps tremendously
100%.
because it's completely free.
Yes.
And you don't have to pay a caregiver to come in and spend $20 an hour. So that's a common question, and there's other common questions too, like transportation and different things like that. We always tell people about, there's a company called papa.com, and they actually will run it through your insurance, and they actually will make it to where they will take a patient to doctor's appointments. And that's one of the biggest problems, is that you don't trust Uber to necessarily take grandpa to his doctor appointment. You know, I mean, it can be a scary world. And so papa.com will actually send a vetted, background screened person. They will take the person to the appointment, they will pick them up, and they will take them back home. I mean, there's a lot of the same kind of questions from people. So we're able to kind of send them to the right different kinds of companies, but there's so many different companies out there, literally worldwide. I mean, there's a company that's in Israel that offers a sit and stand, which actually helps people who have a problem with their legs. My father had a horrible problem with standing up. And you literally, it's mobile. You can put it in a kitchen chair, or you can put it in the couch, and you literally can just place the cushion there. They sit down, they push a button, and
You're kidding, and it stands them up.
So there's just amazing things out there. So you just have to be able to know where to find them. And rather than the caregiver who has no time trying to search and find and Google things that they don't even know exist, then you come to Smart Caregiving, and Smart Caregiving is, and we tell people that they call if you have a question and you need a resource and we don't have it, then we'll find it for you.
So I want to get it more into Smart Caregiving in a moment, but Kevin, let me ask you just really quickly, how important is it to find business, because we do this in traditional news all the time, but background checks?
Very important, right? Very important. Of course, we work with the military, so everything's a background check for us. Every time I go on base, it's another background check, right? Hugely important. And I think most people in general are good, and you want to have that. But when you're dealing with your loved ones in the
like elderhelpers.org, which is wonderful. They're volunteer based, right? So
even if it's just for your personal peace of mind. That you can run to the grocery store, or maybe my neighbor. So that example, I wish I'd have known that. That's the one piece of conversation we probably haven't had.
I know.
You know, my neighbor came to me 2 weeks ago, and unfortunately her husband passed away, and she said, "Kev, it's been 65 days I haven't left the house." Right?
65
right?
days.
Because she was taking care of her husband, and I said, okay, and we're gone. I'm gone all the time, and we're gone all the time. My wife's my partner at the sheriff's department, so we are on the road all the time. And I wish I'd have known that, right? And so I think just knowing that those people, one, are qualified, and two, that background check is vetted, and especially in the healthcare industry with all the HIPAA rules and regulations.
Right. So much is so private.
Everybody in the hospital and anywhere else is vetted, so I think that that's an important thing to have that, for sure.
Absolutely.
Well, we have so much more to discuss, but it's time to go to a commercial break. And when I heard my wife and I are partners, you know what I'm thinking right now? Love in America.
Okay.
We need to make sure to talk to you after the show about bringing you back on Love in America. But in the meantime, we're going to go to a quick commercial break. Stay with us, everybody. We'll be right back.
Why is Precision Garage Door a name you can trust? Because of the Precision Promise.
Precision Garage Door, this is Sophia. How may I help you?
Your call is answered day or night by a live person ready to help.
That's our promise.
Our technicians will arrive on time in one of our recognizable, fully stocked vehicles.
That's our promise.
And there's never an extra charge for nights or weekends to repair your garage door. Quality service quickly from a name you can trust. That's the Precision Promise.
Precision Door Service, a name you can trust.
Label Swap is a retail store that you can bring in the items you don't want anymore. We will buy them for either a cash offer or store credit, and you can also shop the items as well. We carry anything from H&M, Lululemon, up to your luxury items like Gucci and Louis Vuitton. There's nothing really around like it here in the market. It is a fun, personalized experience.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to On the Record. I'm joined by Kevin MacRitchie and Traci Lamb, both amazing companies. You both have worked with different companies, and well, you're the founder of yours, right?
Yes.
And it's just so great what you're doing to help people. So during in the first part of the show, we were talking about all of these resources that are available that people may not know about. With your business, Smart Caregiving, how does it work, Traci? Like, how do people find you, to call you, to ask you about all these amazing resources that are out there?
Sure. Well, they can just go to my website. The easiest one is just Traci, Traci Knows, Knows, traciknows.com. They can go to my website. They can find me on Twitter. They can find me on Facebook. They can find me on Instagram. Just look up Smart Caregiving, and they can find us there, and go to our website, and our website has a full directory, and it's always completely free, doesn't cost anything to caregivers, and they can call as many times as they want. That's one of the things that I get asked by more than one caregiver is, they'll call in and they're like, can I call back? Because caregiving changes. Sometimes it can change from week to week or even day to day.
But you don't always understand it the first time around either,
No,
right?
that's true.
We all avoid this topic until you have to. And so we don't research it until there's the need, right?
Yeah,
so
that's right.
It's like anything. It's complicated, it's difficult. Where does insurance fit in, where not? And then you are, what did they say? Maybe, so it's great that you offer that, especially that they can keep calling back.
Yeah, and that's the truth. Nobody wants to, it's a topic that nobody really kind of wants to talk about it until all of a sudden they wake up one day and it's like, oh, I got to take care of mom or dad.
Right.
And then it's like, okay, now what do I do? And because unfortunately people don't want to prepare. It's kind of like doing a will. Nobody really wants to think about it, but they're like, okay, well, I have to do it.
Well, we all have that appointment whether we want it or not. We don't know when it is, and that means we are preparing for that end of our family member or friend that we're taking care of, and we don't want to be thinking about that till it's time.
I know, that gives me goosebumps when you said that. I know, the beginning of the show, people are like, oh my gosh, healthcare. It's so important. No, but that's why it's important to have, I think, an open, even lively conversation on this is something that we all will be dealing with, or most of us, will be dealing with it in some capacity, whether it's not, it may not be our parents, you never know, it could be a sibling, it could be an aunt or uncle. So, and that, I want to talk more about how it's free again. Let's free, F-R-E-E. So because people, again, get so daunted.
Yes.
And how does it work then? So do people pay your company?
No,
Traci?
no. Caregivers don't ever pay. Caregivers don't pay. The reason I wanted that is because I knew even from back in my hospice days, when you're caring for a loved one, that ends up taking money out of your pocket. I mean, a lot of times people don't know that they can get DME, and so they start buying wheelchairs and all this stuff.
DME? Oh,
durable medical equipment.
Okay, durable medical equipment.
Yeah, and so they'll
That
start.
would be us.
That would be him.
Okay.
But they start buying this stuff, and sometimes there's other places that they could get it for free. Now, some of it is specialized, like Tactical Rehab has some really cool, phenomenal products. You got to tell them about the shoes.
Yes,
he has one product that I love, and I promote it like everywhere I go because it's so phenomenal. But yeah, that's what. So caregivers never have to pay because they need their money. So that's why I have a worldwide directory, and I have a global directory. I have companies from all over the world on my directory, like Tactical Rehab, because the companies have money. The caregivers don't. So the companies pay money to be on my directory, and then the caregivers come to them.
And that was my question. I think I just probably, English is my fifth language. I get a little confused. I'm like, okay, did I really say that? I didn't mean to say that. But I think that was the question I was asking. So the way the way it's free for the caregiver is that the companies that have these resources, and it's true, these companies are for-profit companies. They have the money and they can pay.
Absolutely.
Brilliant strategy.
Thank you. Well, and the companies are looking for a targeted audience.
Yes.
I mean, like Tactical Rehab is looking for a targeted audience, and this is a way they can get their targeted audience.
Yes, and Kevin, speaking of targeted audiences, listen, we open up the floor to you. We need to hear about the shoes.
Yes.
Well, so it's a company called Soul Supports. They are our flagship product. They are an orthotic, so they do fit in your shoes, even your high heels. And
well, I was going to say, okay.
Yes, even so, and I only wear cowboy boots, and they fit in my cowboy boots. And so we will have them. We'll have them fit to the type of shoe that you wear. And they're a fantastic company out of rural Tennessee. It is developed by Dr. Ed Glazier on mass posture theory. And they truly are the only orthotics that not only address foot-related issues like plantar fasciitis and others, but we like to say that they are the only orthotics that will focus on healing. And when we mean healing in terms of aligning the body, the spine. So while we can't prescribe for back pain and neck pain, those kind of things necessarily, they do help correct that because they do focus on healing as opposed to the way most orthotics are cast. They'll put you in a standard position, they'll cast you there. So you already have your feet and your body in your worst alignment. They'll cast you to that. So you maybe won't get worse than you are, but you'll never get better.
And is this is for any age, right?
Any age.
Any age.
Yeah.
So
my kids are all in them as a preventative measure as well.
You know, it's so interesting. Speaking of people, we also had another amazing woman on the show, Laura McElroy, who was one of 9 people in the entire country chosen to be part of the committee to evaluate the Texas school shooting. I'm sorry, I get choked up when I talk about it because it's so sad, you know. But so one of 9 people, but you know what she struggles with too? I can't wait to tell her about this because standing there because of her, because of feet issues. I don't mean to get off topic, right? But but true. So interesting. So what are some of the other things that you offer?
So we do some things like bone stem, so bone regeneration. We do a lot of bracing. So a lot of our things products that we offer are related to physical therapy, occupational therapy, or orthopedics, those kinds of things. So if you think like neck braces, back braces, elbow braces, devices that'll help you lift in certain body parts. So those kinds of things. So it's a lot of that area is the main focus, mostly biomechanical. You'll see us in other areas that we are continuing to branch out in as well. Probably the second largest area at the moment is non-pharmaceutical based pain management. So think like TENS units, but not off-the-shelf units. They're prescription-based TENS units. They're much more powerful and help with a lot of the sort of pain management that especially we see the military get. You know, our military personnel and any military personnel, they get beat up and used on their body pretty hard. So we look at things that also, in case of the orthotics, they're the only weight calibrated orthotics. So you throw a 50 or 100 pound rucksack on, then all of a sudden you need that spring back in it as well. So we've got ways that we address that with different pairs as well.
And honestly, there's never proper words of thanks for the military. But when you are in pain in any type of job or anything that you do, you can't concentrate. So it really has, a domino effect. So humility aside, and I like to say that always, so please, humility aside for the both of you, let's talk about, though, inspiring people making a difference, which are the two of you. What would you say to people out there to continue this positive change in the nation?
Well, I truly believe that helping people is what we all should do, and kindness does matter. No matter where you are, no matter what you do. One of the first things Kevin and I, when we were having our first conversation 2 years ago, was we both discovered we both just have a passion for helping people. I mean, his passion, and it's in different ways, but it's similar too. And we both just want to make it to where, we can make the world a better place. And so it's not just in the U.S., it's worldwide, so we want to be able to keep doing that. And for me, whether it's helping companies to grow and get the people that they need, or if it's helping caregivers to be able to find the resources that they need, because nothing makes me feel better than when I hear a caregiver. I had a 98-year-old little lady call me, and she was referred to me, and she was taking care of her 98-year-old husband, and she was like, I'm just a little tired. I was like, God love you. And so she needed some help, so I told her some things that could help her, and she ended up texting me 3 days later. I couldn't believe this 98-year-old woman was texting me. She texted me, and she says, I just cannot thank you enough. I just would never have ever thought of doing some of the things that you told me to do. And she says, I can breathe, and and he's getting taken care of, and see, that's why I do what I do. That's why I do what I do.
And you took the question right out of my mouth, because I was going to ask you if there was a specific story, and I have got to say, I got to commend that 98-year-old wonderful woman who's texting.
I know. My 82-year-old mother can't text. And this 98-year-old, I told her when I talked to her on the phone, and very lucid, when I talked to her on the phone, I said, I hope I'm half as lucid as you are when I get to be 98, if I can live that long. So, yes, wonderful woman.
So, Kevin, the same question to you. You know, it does, you know, what Traci said, kindness matters. What would your message be to people to help, you know, continue positive change throughout the nation?
I think you got to find what your skills marry to the things you like to do, right? And I was joking with Traci on the way earlier. The three members of our board of directors are always asking me if the job's still fun. Because I said I'm only staying as long as it's fun, and then I choose to move on. But I'll let you know well in advance, right? So the main question I get every week is it still fun, right? And of course it is. But that's because we have an opportunity to find ways to help better. In this case, the health and well-being of our military personnel, retirees, families included. And you know, that's a great thing. But finding the niche that you as an individual like, and putting that to good, positive work.
Yes.
And then for me, everything's a math problem, right? Where do I find the right people? How do I solve it? How do I get the right people on board? How do I get people to agree that's the right mission to be on? And get that team together? Because no one person can do this, right? And even just Traci and I can't do this. It's the phenomenal people we have working with us and for us, and our partners. I mean, it's every time I'm on the phone with Ken over at Soul Supports, he says, thanks for supporting rural Tennessee, and thanks for supporting America. And it's just, we always end the conversation that way. And that's their niche to help support people in a better place.
Absolutely.
And so you just got to find what it is you're passionate about and how it helps somebody and move to solve it. And people will rally around it.
Well, I personally am so passionate about sharing stories, and I'm so thankful to the team here, you know, at Red House Streaming and CP Communications, to be able to share these amazing stories that are happening right before our eyes. So, Traci Lamb, Kevin MacRitchie, thank you so much for joining us here on the record. And I want to say, on that note, if you would like to be on the show, then please email us. production@redhousestreaming.com. There are so many shows. Look at that. Personal, love, business, community. We're seeking guests and topics, and we would love to hear from you. Also, if you could share our show, we're on multiple social media platforms, really every single one that you see. And we're also on Roku, but we have some major announcements coming soon. Traci, Kevin, we certainly hope you guys come back.
Absolutely.
Look forward to it.
Yes. Love in America, CEO 360. I mean,
absolutely.
Maybe even the lighter side of sports. I'm sure we could find like a
I'm sure you can. Kevin is a very well-rounded person.
Thank you again so much, everybody. I mean, thank you guys so much. And thank you, everybody. We so appreciate it. Have a great week and stay safe. Bye. Hello, I'm Sarina Fizan.
And I'm JP Peterson. We're the host of The Lighter Side of Sports, brought to you by RHS TV.
We are committed to helping those impacted by Ian. The hurricane caused unprecedented damage after it made landfall just short of a Category 5 storm.
So many lives have been lost, so many thousands still without homes. A massive recovery mission is underway, and we are teaming up with the Red Cross to help.
So please join us in this rebuilding effort. It's as simple as scanning the QR code or simply following the link below.
Stay safe and stay vigilant.